Hey everybody, and welcome to this edition. I'm Jim Williams. We're waiting for Sean Miller to join us. He is on assignment, but he'll be coming to join us soon. Let's talk a quick look at the headlines tonight. As you all know, there is Thursday Night Football, and Thursday Night Football, in this particular case, is the Las Vegas Raiders heading down 285 miles down the coast to play the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. Now, a couple of questions. First question is, how many Raiders fans will there be versus Rams fans? Of course, many of you remember that the Raiders spent about a decade in Los Angeles and still have a tremendous fan following in the greater LA area. So they're definitely, Raider Nation is definitely going to be represented today. Number two, after possibly the worst Super Bowl hangover in history, the Rams, lose Matt Stafford for the rest of the year. They signed yesterday Baker Mayfield, and as off the waiver wire. And I don't think that even as talented a offensive mind as Sean McVay is, that Baker Mayfield will see the field tonight. The game, of course, can be streamed on Amazon, on Prime. Kickoff, ball hits toe sometime around 8:20 with Al Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit on the call. So, interestingly enough, I was a little surprised that a guy who is on their pregame show, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has played for a number of football teams in the National Football League, didn't get a phone call this week from Kyle Shanahan to come up and help him out in San Francisco. I mean, one of the best relief quarterbacks, if you wish to call him that. He had a pretty good career of handling those sort of things. So very surprised that we didn't get that phone call to Ryan Fitzpatrick to join the 49ers. Now, there are a number of things that from a question standpoint about this game tonight, and that is, can the Raiders still make the playoffs? They're 5-7. They are in the AFC, where clearly, at this point, the Kansas City Chiefs are the class of the conference. Buffalo and Miami are battling it out in the East, and then, of course, the North. That one is the Bengals, surprisingly, seeming to be able to get by with the Ravens right behind them. And the Ravens will be without quarterback Lamar Jackson this week. We don't know how much longer. Maybe it's just 1 week. We'll see. But it's going to be quite an interesting thing. So tonight is a big game for, more for the Raiders, because if they hope to continue to stay in the playoff hunt, they're going to need a win tonight. The Rams, they're just going to try to find out just how they can find a quarterback that can get them on a bridge through this week to get them to Baker Mayfield next week. So they're a train wreck. And tonight's game against the Raiders is, as I said before, it's not only is it going to be tough, but it's going to be tough as well, because they're going to be playing against a team that's going to have a lot of fans in the stands. So the Rams and the Raider fans, it's quite possible we'll see a 50-50 split on that. So anyway, that's we'll get into tonight's game. Tomorrow, Morocco plays against Argentina, and Morocco has done something quite interesting. And I'm sorry, I have Netherlands. that was a mistake. It's Saturday that Morocco plays, and they play Portugal. So there you go. There's Morocco, Portugal, Saturday, 10 a.m. What Morocco's done in the World Cup is they've given support throughout the African and Arab worlds that, soccer can be played at a high level there as well. Now, we're going to see a Portugal team that is going to be probably without Ronaldo. And they seem to have been able to flourish without him. So we'll see how that works. But clearly, Morocco has been an inspiration to the African nations and, of course, to the Arab nations as they made it to the quarterfinals, and they face a very difficult challenge in a fine Portugal team. But we'll get more into that when Sean shows. Any idea, guys, about the thought of Xander Bogaerts? I mean, he lands in the Padres organization. They already had a shortstop, I thought, but evidently they're going to get Xander Bogaerts, and his deal of $280 million with the Padres was quite a bit of a surprise, to be honest. Bogaerts will be playing next to Manny Machado in that lineup, and we assume that Juan Soto will stay there, and that's a pretty powerful lineup. It didn't. It got them to the playoffs, but it didn't get them to the promised land as many thought they would. And it really, with San Diego, it's all about the pitching. And yesterday, back to New York goes the big guy himself, Aaron Judge. The Judge returns, and he's doing a heck of a job. He'll stay in the Yankee pinstripes, and they will, hopefully for their sake, have another good season. But as far as the moves in the offseason in baseball, quite an interesting situation with, as we see, Xander Bogaerts and the rest of the guys all, having some fun. So Sean will be with us in about a couple minutes here. He just sent me a quick text. That's going to be cool. We'll be able to talk a little bit about everything in just a moment. But the game tonight at SoFi is going to be one where we're going to find out one way or the other just how badly these Raiders want to make the playoffs and how badly the Rams just want to show up and play. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions out there? We got some time to do a little questions. Okay, no questions at the moment. That's okay. Put your pencils down. Let's see. We've got. See if what other headlines we can glean here from today in the news. Obviously, Brittany Griner, a very big story. Brittany Griner, thank goodness, has returned in a swap between prisoners. Griner, of course, who was in Russia and serving a sentence for a controlled substance, is now en route back to the United States. Daniel Snyder, according to sources, had a role in the toxic commander's culture, says a United States congressional report. Should be noted that Snyder is at the moment dealing with Bank of America to find potential buyers for the Commanders at this moment. Some of the names that have been put forth are a group headed by Jeff Bezos, of course, who is the owner of Amazon and Jay-Z. Byron Allen, another name that has popped up there. and I'm quite sure that there'll be more as time goes by. Let's talk a little bit about the winners and the losers from the winter meetings, which just got over. Winners, obviously, Aaron Judge. Um, his bet paid off. Um, he rejected a 7-year, $213 million offer in spring training last year, as some of you may remember. He cashed in on a new deal of $360 million, which is nearly 70% better than the initial offer. According to sources, the Padres actually offered far more than what the Sluggers signed with, while the Giants represented a homecoming and a boyhood dream. Clearly, they didn't match the cash, and so the threat of New York losing their guy to California turned out just to be that, a threat. It was not a reality. So Judge gets to go back and be a Yankee. Any free agent starting pitcher seemed to be a winner. You had a guy, Andrew Haney, 2 years, $25 million with Texas, was a harbinger of things to come. He turned down even more money from Boston and Toronto to pitch closer to his native of Oklahoma City. So good to see that deal. Hey, Sean, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Fine. We were just going over winners and losers at the baseball winter meetings.
Okay.
We talked about the fact that Aaron Judge, who bet on himself, he turned down $213 million in 7 years in spring training, ended up cashing in pretty well when you consider the fact that he got a $360 million deal, or approximately 70% better than the initial proposal offered by the Yankees. It just seems like all the numbers out there for position players begin with a 3 these days. There was some thoughts that he might end up playing on the coast, either with the Padres or his boyhood dream of playing for the Giants. But at the end of the day, the Pinstripes win, and he gets to play back where he played last year.
Yeah, I think that deal was probably just about done, to be honest. And then the Yankees, I think maybe he might have told the Yankees, "Look, I'm leaving," and they said, "Well, what do they offer you?" And he said, "Well, we'll give you this, 40 million more or something like that." And he said, "All right, maybe I'll take it." Everything we heard the night before was that the deal was done with San Francisco. So it's pretty interesting that he ended up going the other way there.
Well, it's funny. San Francisco lost out on Bryce Harper. And the problem with, just for those of you who are not familiar with the tactics of one Scott Boras, Scott does not negotiate. Scott, you make an offer to Scott, and then you wait to find out if you accept it, he accepts it, or he doesn't. You end up bidding against yourself sometimes if you go at, if you're dealing with Scott. I know the Giants, when they were going after Bryce, they thought they had a strong offer at it was 308, and the Phillies, I believe, ended up at 312 or 313, something like that.
Yep.
So they weren't that far apart, but at the end of the day, it was how much money can I get for my client, and that's how it ended up in Philadelphia. And I think Bryce probably wanted to play in Philadelphia versus playing in San Francisco, although his family lives in Las Vegas. But anyway,
that's right.
Actually, any free agent pitcher did well. If you want to talk about winners and losers from that standpoint, we know Justin Verlander, got a good payday. Jamison Tryon got a good payday.
Yeah, that's right.
And a guy by the name of, look, Andrew Haney picked up $25 million from Texas, and no shade on Andrew, but geez, I mean, he's a middle of the road third, number 3 pitcher.
Yeah, it's obviously, and they, it's. I'm trying, it's when you're trying to catch these teams in the division, the teams out west, The Padres signing Xander Bogaerts for 11 years, 280 million. When you're
I thought they had a shortstop. I know. I mean, I know that he's hurt, but they gave him a lot of money.
Yeah, and you see like teams like the Rangers, going after pitching. They have to try to catch two teams,
right?
And the Giants have to try to catch two teams now. You got the Dodgers and the Padres. The
right.
Padres made it to the National League champion. Padres went further than the Dodgers did,
right,
this year. So sometimes when you're those teams, you have to overpay a little bit and try to do it. But the Padres, I mean, the amount of money they're throwing around for the number 28 TV market is pretty crazy right now.
Well, to your point, if you add up the deal they did with Manny Machado, okay, the deal that they did with Xander Bogart, and the deal, the other shortstop deal, they're at almost exactly $1 billion for 3 players.
Yes.
That's a lot of money. And you still have Juan Soto playing in the outfield.
That's right.
Now, the concern, if it were me, nobody asked, but if I were the general manager of the Padres, pitching is their problem. I might flip Juan Soto for some pitchers because, we're getting close to his walk year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think you're going to maybe see some more moves here in the next, because there's still some players that have to sign, Correa, different guys those markets will kind of fall. Dansby Swanson, of course. But yeah, I don't think these moves are done. I think we're going to see some trades here at some point.
Quick college note, and that is that sources that I've dealt with this morning and talking to my buddies at the Pac-12, looks like former Cowboys coach Jason Garrett will be the new Stanford head coach.
Wow.
Jason, a graduate of Princeton University. And so he clearly has the IQ to get to Stanford. So we'll see how that, works out. The Falcons are going to make Ryder their new starting quarterback, the kid they drafted. So there's that. The Lakers seem to feel like they're on the right track to get back to the playoffs. It's a long way to get there, but okay. We already talked about Xander Bogaerts getting $280 million for an 11-year deal, which is a lot of cash. And Brittany Griner has been released from a Russian prison in a prisoner swap. And finally, just to finish up the headlines, Daniel Snyder had a role in the toxic commander's culture, says a United States congressional report. So.
Well, that congressional report also said that the NFL was covering some stuff up, and that the NFL was also partly to blame for some of this. So that'll be interesting because Congress usually doesn't go after some of the leagues. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, color me stunned that the NFL had something to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then Bruce Allen makes the allegation that it was the Commanders in the NFL that leaked the email information that got John Gruden fired.
That's interesting.
Well, think of it this way: if we're going to play conspiracy theorist for a minute, right? You got the Raiders on the hook for $100 million contract for Gruden, right?
That's correct.
Okay. The only way he gets out of that contract without them paying is if he violates, the morals clause.
Correct.
Okay. What does that email situation do? It gets him out of the morals clause.
Oh, that's right. I mean,
you're going to go conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely leaked by somebody like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that John himself wanted that out there, so I'm pretty sure he didn't do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's crazy. It's totally crazy. Hey, you know they're gonna play some soccer tomorrow. Did you know that?
I heard.
You heard about that?
Yeah, is it Champions League?
Yeah, something like that. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Croatia and the Samba Boys. Now, you know you've been on Brazil from get go.
Yeah.
What do you think about tomorrow's game against the Croatia team?
I think Croatia.
He seems to like to play, you know, extra time games and getting into penalty kicks.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble here. They're out of leg. I mean, I think the commentators said it a couple times there. They looked really leggy. They're older. This team is Brazil's going to run circles around them. I think they're in a lot of trouble in that game. I really like Brazil a lot here to win pretty easily, 2-0, 3-0, something like that. Croatia's been unbelievable the last couple tournaments, but it's a little bit of luck the other way against them, and they could have been knocked out at any point in the round of 16. I mean, 7 of the last 8 have gone to extra time. So,
well, I thought, frankly, Japan outplayed them.
Yeah, I just think they're in. It's been a really good job to get. And they got to a final, and they're going to get to a quarterfinal.
Right.
This, 3 or 4 million people. It's not a big country at all.
Right.
To get to this point has been frankly amazing that they've done this with this group of players. I mean, not enough has been said about Luka Modric. Obviously right. A Ballon d'Or winner in 2018 when they went to the final and they won the champion. He's been a key part of the 5 Champions League titles with Real Madrid. He's clearly one of the best players in the last decade or so to play. But the team is old. They're really talented, but Brazil is just. It doesn't matter who Brazil puts out there. They're gonna be able to.
Brazil's on another level.
They just. At this point now, I mean, Brazil could rotate, and remember that game was really easy for them. They took some players off. They didn't really have to exert too much energy. The game was really over early. They'll probably start with near the same lineup. Casemiro, Paqueta, Rafinha, Neymar, Vinicius Jr., and Richarlison. And remember, if that doesn't work, the players they have coming off the bench, Anthony and Fred and Guimaraes, and they just have so much talent. But this is going to be a Neymar game, I think. I just think they're going to really kind of show some flair here and win. I think they win by at least 2 goals.
Well, the nightcap isn't a bad one either. You've got the Netherlands and Argentina.
Yeah, that game to me is a little tougher to call. They played in 2014 in the semifinals, and it was I feel like Argentina won 1-0 with a late goal in extra time, but it was I expect kind of the same type of game here. The 2 games Saturday, I think, of all the 4 games, I'll say it this way. Of all the 4 games, I think this has the potential to be the one that maybe goes to penalties.
Oh, you're talking about the Argentina-Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands.
I'll go back there for a moment.
But maybe it'll be too quick. Maybe it'll be different from the, if Morocco and Portugal goes to penalties, it's going to be 0-0. This game, if it goes to penalties, it's not going to be 0-0. There's going to be,
2-2, something like that.
Yeah, there's going to be some goals. Bill, Netherlands. I wouldn't actually. Netherlands and draw offers you some value as well. Yeah, the Netherlands team is good. This Argentina team is pretty talented, obviously. with Messi and stuff. Julian Alvarez, Di Maria. Defensively, they've been okay. The Netherlands lineup is pretty good. Gakpo and Depay up top. Now that Depay is playing well, they play. They play with the wing backs. They play the three center backs: Timber, Van Dijk, and Nathan Ake, with Denzel Dumfries and Daley Blind on the right and the left. And Dumfries was really good last game. They give Netherlands problems when they play in this lineup. And Bill, I would agree. They probably offer you a little bit better value here. I I think maybe the over is a play here. But of all the games, I think this is the one that is going to be, that gets to, if one goes to extra time, I would say probably this one.
Saturday, we move over, and it's Morocco and Portugal. A great article in the Athletic today about Morocco and how the team has inspired the African and Arab nations, and how it's really got them geeked out about soccer, and the fact that even if they don't go any further than the quarters, make it to the quarters from Morocco, and for a team from the African nations has been a triumph, and you've been on Morocco from jump.
Yeah, I like this team a lot coming into the tournament. Bill Messi's 35. Yeah, no, he's getting older. He doesn't have to do the same here as much as he does for that he used to do. But this Morocco team is very talented. Aaron Bott, the defensive midfielder. I would, he probably put himself on the team of the tournament playing like that. I mean, it was a monster class. He was just ridiculous in that game. He was just everywhere. He shut down the Spain attack. Now, the Spain, that tiki-taka and stuff without the forward, this is going to be a different team they're going to face here, because, when you look at this Portugal team without Ronaldo in the lineup, and they put Ramos in there, who Manchester United was after. He changes the whole game. Now you got Ramos up top. He scored a hat trick in his first start. He went home with the game ball. If Ronaldo sits, which at this point he should, because he's not really good enough to be starting in the game, and it's Bruno Fernandes, Ramos, and Felix up top, with Bernardo Silva, Carvalho, and Otavio behind him, plus that defense. I just don't see. Portugal's going to be the same. Morocco's probably going to be the same. Morocco can't score goals enough, I think, to stay with Portugal. I do think everyone thinks this is going to kind of be like a low-scoring game. Well, I'm not sure. I think Portugal scores 1.5. I think Portugal scores more than 2 goals here. But I don't see it. I think Morocco's run ends. Portugal's really good. This team is really good, and they could win the cup.
Basically with what they did by, setting Ronaldo, is they got themselves a much faster team.
Yes, exactly. It's the same thing that happens when he's at United. They were just always forcing him the ball. It slows everything down. When you have Ramos in there, the 21-year-old star from Benfica, and he's running riot with Talat making runs down the wing as well. Talat, people don't really talk about that as much, but he came in for João Cancelo, and he had an assist. He was up and down that wing. That's what he does. He's become this guy. He went on loan to AC Milan from United last year and came back, and he's become a different player. He's become a very important player, and key to the attack as well. And he's getting better defensively. So I just think Portugal I think Portugal finds a way to score 2 goals. If Portugal scores 2 goals in this game, there's no way. Morocco has no chance in the game. Morocco could score, a goal.
Mhm.
They do have Ziyech, and they have some talented players. Buffal, Aaron Bad probably he's going to be the defensive midfielder, but I don't think they have enough to slow this team down. Spain plays a different way. They want to knock the ball around and ticky tack and pass it at depth and try to find like holes in your thing. Portugal's going to go vertical more, so they're not going to be able to stop that.
Let me ask you this: how difficult, you've coached before, how difficult would it have been for the Portugal coach to tap Ronaldo on the shoulder and said, "Sorry, buddy, you have to sit it down"?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it was, but Ronaldo makes it easy on himself by the game before he comes off and he's these public outbursts and questioning the coach. I mean, they almost let him do it. It's the same thing United did. They let him do it, and then because he's going to do it because that's the kind of person he is. And then it's like, all right, listen, you know what? I've had enough. You're going to sit. And then when now when the kid goes out there and scores a hat trick, guess what? If that kid struggled, then whatever. And Portugal just scraped by with a 1-0 win or something like that. Then you could no. They scored 6 goals. They looked fluid. And the kid had a hat trick. Ronaldo was not going back in the lineup. And then now his sister's complaining and all this stuff.
Right.
I mean, he's like a cancer to the team. It's crazy.
Right. Well, I mean, they're better. Clearly, they were better without him. So, if they go beyond, I mean, like you just said, they could win the cup. If they get to the finals, I mean, there's no looking back. I mean, don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, look, if they win this game and Ramos scores here, this is his last tournament. I can't imagine like they would take him anymore after this. I mean,
Well, and you're talking about, what was it? Was it Croatia being? I forget the country you just mentioned. Being small country. You can't get much smaller than Portugal. I mean, so it's they're a small country as well. However, the nightcap is the one that these two teams have only been fighting against each other since the Middle Ages.
Yes.
So they've had a history, a good history sometimes and a bad history sometimes. But this is kind of the banner game from a standpoint of I can't imagine how many eyes will be on this game.
Yeah, I think this is the game of the tournament. For me personally, the team that wins this goes to the final. I just think because I think they can match up well with Portugal. And for me, in this game, first of all, you're getting value. Any bet you place here, you're getting value on any team. But they have the best player on the planet right now, playing in France, and that is Kylian Mbappe. And when you look and you see what he's been doing to score goals here, I don't know how you don't take him. At this point now, he's plus 155 to score, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. He's also. I'm going to take a look at this here.
Well, while you're looking up some stuff there, I mean, think about he had that amazing first half in the last game, right?
Yeah.
So they decide, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment. We're going to go over and we're going to make sure we make life hell for him. Well, they do, but on the other side, the other teams, his compadres start putting it in the back of the net from the other side. So they can beat you. You want to hide, you want to mark him all game long. Great, go ahead and do it. You're doing it at the peril because you got 4 guys that can score. That's not that's not him.
Well, the problem is like you can't really kind of you can't slow him down. I mean, he's going to get chances. Giroud scored in the first half, and then you saw there, when he got open, first of all, he's in all kinds of space. And that's in the 70th minute and the 74th minute and the 90 plus one. I mean, he's getting into space and hitting, a postage stamp on this side of the goal and that side of the goal with his shots when there was no room to really shoot. You can't stop this guy for 90 minutes. There's no way. And England doesn't have that guy. Like Kyle Walker is going to try to because he's got some pace, but I don't think he's going to be able to. I mean, look, I make no. I always talk about France. This squad, they're missing players and they're still this good. I love this France team. I love them in this game. I was looking at Sports Mole, which I like to look at because they usually are pretty good with picks, and they picked France 3-1.
Whoa!
So I actually, there's when I'm gonna bet this game, I'm gonna probably go. I'm gonna throw some -1 on France and all different stuff. I'm gonna try to find all different ways to make some money on France. But look, England could win the game. I mean, they're definitely good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I just think this. He'll probably go with a safe lineup. Southgate in this game. He probably won't start Marcus Rashford. He'll probably start Jordan Henderson and Declan Rice, and he'll go with a safe lineup there, and France will just go at him. And France is bigger in midfield. They're quicker than Bele, Griezmann, Mbappe. And Giroud scores goals, and they have some talent coming off the bench if they need it too. So,
yeah. Well, it's going to be a heck of a game, and that's I know that that's why it's going to be the showcase game of the weekend. Speaking of a game, tonight the Rams host the Raiders primetime Thursday Night Football. I should probably not use two T's in Thursday night, but anyway, this might be a game. The Rams are not playing well. That's an understatement. They signed Baker Mayfield yesterday. I doubt seriously he'll be in uniform tonight as far as playing.
No, I heard he's starting. Someone told me he's starting.
How does that? How?
I said this. I said he doesn't even know the plays. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. They said he started. And I'm like, there's no way he doesn't know the plays. But they're on their third quarterback. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess they think maybe he gives him he just say, listen, just go draw plays in the sand or something. I can't. I said the same thing. Like, there's no way that he could play. Well, it's interesting because the line is under a touchdown. And the Raiders need the game. And the Rams stink. They're done.
Yeah.
The Rams really need to lose out so maybe they can get a top quarterback, with that roster because they'll be able to get healthy, I guess, next year and still kind of be there. If they imagine if they got added CJ Stroud to the to this team, that would be
I just to me the idea of Baker Mayfield flying across country and basically putting it. Although my name tag is on so that everybody in the locker room knows who he is. The ironic thing is he's getting paid by Cleveland still. So, they're not taking any thing. And honestly, I felt that Baker got a pretty bum rap because, he played an entire season with an oblique injury. So whatever happens in Los Angeles, who knows? But the interesting part of this to me is I think the Raiders could have a bigger crowd of fans at SoFi Stadium tonight than the Rams. Because so many years, almost a decade was it that they played in Los Angeles. And they were Los Angeles' team. And so they still have a lot of Raider Nation in Los Angeles and Southern California.
Yeah. And look, and that the Rams, that's, a lot of times the Rams play like that. That's, their home games are really road games. When the 49ers play there, it's the same thing. I mean, but yeah, look, I think this is the Raiders need to win the game. I think the Rams have given up at this point. So I can't imagine. I would love to know who's quarterbacking for them before the game.
I think Sean McVay would like to know as well.
Yes,
because right now he probably doesn't know.
Right.
It's it'd be a good night to just go to In-N-Out Burger and go home and watch Netflix. I'm not so sure that watching this game would be entertaining. But I mean, you'd have to feel for Baker Mayfield too, and if they're going to start him, my God, even if you dumb the playbook down, you still have to. And look, let's be honest. There's not that many differences between the plays that they run in different offenses.
Yeah,
it's the terminology. It's the problem.
And he would do it too because look, he could have said last year, he could have been like, listen, I'm banged up. I'm not going to go out there and make myself look like a jerk every week for you guys. Well, he's not like that. He says, look, I'm a competitor. I'm going to go out there and try to win games. And because, the year before they did, they won a playoff game. And so that's just not the way he is. If he goes there and they say, listen, we need you to play today, he's going to be like, okay, like that's how he is. And he's been put in these, the Panthers, that situation was terrible. They didn't give him a chance, and then they traded everybody away. And then it's the same thing. The Rams, like the whole team stinks. Everybody's hurt. They shut everybody down. He's not. They said today in a story. He's just there to evaluate like the backup players for next year and stuff like that. So it's like they're not even trying to win the game. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it will. It's going to be weird because on Sunday night we get our first flex game, and that's the Dolphins will be in the same building playing against the Chargers in a game where if Miami wins, they keep pace with Buffalo.
Yes.
And I don't think you could have found many people at the beginning of the season who would have said Buffalo and Miami are going to be duking it out for the Eastern Conference, Eastern Division Championship.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. And the Buccaneers fly to San Francisco to play, the 49ers, and he's down to his quarterback they just drafted in this most recent draft.
Yeah, exactly.
So some crazy games over the weekend.
Yep.
Now, there is one game over the weekend that is always entertaining, and it's down the street from you, and it's Army-Navy.
Yeah.
And have you ever been to an Army-Navy game?
I have not. I know. I just know from taping my show today, my ESPN show today, that Army is going to be wearing fatigues, camo uniforms honoring the Big Red One. So, which my dad was in back in the day. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I know, Navy dropped those ping pong balls over the West Point this week to try to antagonize. They don't steal the mascots anymore, but they they fly planes over and drop ping pong balls that say "Beat Army" and stuff. But the over under on this is 32.5, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the last 15 games have all gone under. But the under keeps going down every year and every year. It's a little tricky. Like the unders hit 15 years in a row, but 10 of the last 17 games have gone over 32.5 points, which means, at some point the over was in the 40s and it just come down to, ridiculous 32.5. But they're just going to run the ball the whole game. So
yeah, both teams play triple option running, and which causes other teams grief. But when they're playing each other, they know how to do it.
Yeah, because the defense practices against the offense all the time. Right. You know how to shut it down.
You know what you're going to get. It's Pete Medhurst who calls the games for the Navy. Pete's a good friend, and he was saying that really the pageantry is the fun part. I mean, you get there early, you watch the cadets march onto the field, and then take their place in the stands. You watch the midshipmen, march down, get on the, on the field, and then take their place in the stands. And that these guys, most of them, this is the last college football game they'll ever play, and then they will become brothers in arms with the guys that they're battling against. But it's always, to me, it's always an entertaining and fun game, and it's the only game that is likely to be less than 3.5 hours because both teams run the ball. So you're not gonna have to worry about long, protracted game. It'll get over and out of there. And if you're in the Philly area, don't worry, traffic won't be bad after, because they'll get in and out pretty quick. But they do have fun little things that they tweak each other with. But normally what I think is most entertaining from a standpoint of the aesthetics of the game is what helmets that they wear. They have special helmets that they've come up with just for this game. And they're always really kind of cool. There was one year recently that, I don't know if you remember it, but it was a white helmet that the Navy had with an anchor on it, which is really kind of a cool thing. So, yeah, Army Navy Philly tomorrow. I'm sorry, Saturday on CBS. And speaking of CBS, you got a basketball tournament at the Garden with CBS that you're going to. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, next weekend. Get to go there on Saturday. Then in between, I guess I'll miss the third place game. It's a shame. Not that I never care about that third place. I mean, in the summer when it's like, and there's no other stuff for 6 weeks, it's like, hey, I'll watch it. But like now, the day after the World Cup final, there's Carabao Cup matches, so it's not really the biggest game I need to watch. So, but yeah, it's could be good. UNC, Ohio State, and UCLA, Kentucky. So.
Well, and so you got some programs there that have history. Kentucky blue and white, UCLA blue and white. Say North Carolina blue and white. Seems like a theme here. I've been surprised. Houston and UConn. I mean, that was not a tandem I would have thought would be. I mean, I knew Houston had a decent basketball team. I didn't think they were that good. But they got off to a heck of a start.
Yeah, they're in the Final Four 2 years ago, and then Elite Eight last year. And right now they look like the best team in the country. So what do you think about Brazil?
And actually, Purdue's gotten off to a good start.
Yeah, they have. Yep. There's some interesting games this week. Bill, what do you think about Brazil and Portugal? Both win to 0, maybe even parlay them together.
Is he saying that they'll both shut out their opponents? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, both to shut out their opponents and win the game. Yeah, it's probably going to get you some pretty decent value. The only problem with the Brazil game is like if they're up like 3-0 and they start subbing players out or something like this. I don't, that would be
lose concentration.
Yeah, but Croatia's struggled to score. So yeah, it's that would be a pretty decent bet. I think that would probably offer you pretty good value.
Worth a shot.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about the games that we'll be talking about tomorrow? We talked about today. So by the time we get on tomorrow, we should find out what's going on with the game between Netherlands and Argentina.
Yeah, we should know by then, and I think it's going to be once again. That could be
we'll get a semifinal out of that one.
Yeah. That'll be.
That's the Tuesday semifinal, right?
Yes. Yeah. That'll be. That could be the one that goes long. I wouldn't be stunned to see that. Brazil. Brazil. Both teams win to 0 pays plus 450, so that would be interesting. But yeah, should be a decent game.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get that information tomorrow, and then take one more look at the if anything has happened between now and tomorrow for the Saturday games, which doubtful, but you never know. And from that point, we will talk about perhaps some of the NFL stuff over the weekend and probably some of the college hoop stuff that's going on and some of the crazy stuff as we get ready. It's hard to believe, but next week begins the bowl season.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy. We're getting into the bowl season, so and there's only 32 of them, so don't mark your calendars, boys and girls. Not all of them. What we'll try to do is get a hold of Jack Healig. Jack is most of these bowls are run by ESPN, and Jack Healig has the fun job of slotting the bowls. The way the bowls are set up is they have relationships with the different conferences, and you get to take the number 3 team in the conference. Now, if some of these conferences do not have, bowl eligible teams or teams that they feel are bowl eligible from a standpoint of moving, Morocco played best defense in this World Cup. AB. Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna argue with that. AB. So they get slotted into the games. Thank you, Bill. And so that's what has to happen. And sometimes you pull people from other conferences, and sometimes you try to make it where the teams are good. My crazy thing if Morocco can take Portugal.
I mean, we just saw it, but it's not, seeing the blueprint. But look, these runs end at some point. I mean, once again, Portugal plays a different style than Spain does. Spain wants to knock the ball and keep possession and try to find pinhole passes through and walk tack ball in. Portugal's going to play over the top. And, I just think Portugal's a better team. So, I mean, but no, I think they could. Once again, it's not the worst play in the world. I just think, Portugal at minus 150 is kind of crazy. I mean, I think they should be closer to like minus 200. So, this Portugal team is very good. Now, without Ronaldo playing, and Ramos up top, obviously, they added a dimension and they're quicker and they're better. So
there you go. All right. Any final thoughts? Any final questions from the class? I don't see any hands. Do you?
No.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming by. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll have some soccer to talk about, which will be fun. And you all have a nice and safe night. Sean, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I'm excited to watch the games tomorrow.
All right. All right, boys and girls. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Be safe. And until we meet again.